Sometimes I have nightmares.
What am I afraid of?
I don't know. I'm afraid of pretty standard things. Heights.
When I was little, I was terrified of cats.
I don't like being left alone with my thoughts, really.
I have nightmares about tidal waves and eating bugs.
Day after day.
When I was a kid, I was deathly afraid of aliens.
Heart attack.
I can't stand being alone. Like currently, if I was just at my house and there's no one else there, I would need the TV on, I would need music going. There has to be noise, otherwise I get very depressed, I get very anxious.
At like 3 in the morning, we were at Troy's mom's house, and I like slapped Troy. I was like, "Wake up!" I was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I'm having a heart attack."
Being paralyzed from like the neck down would really suck.
He's like, "No, you're not." I was like, "My chest is in pain. I'm on the pill. It causes blood clots. I'm having a heart attack." He's like,
Having the thoughts and then telling them to people, and then we can discuss them, or it becomes a big train of consciousness, and it's wonderful. But if it's just me and my thoughts, I start thinking about like the past and the future, and what I could have done differently, and what I plan to do, and what I hope happens, and what I can do to make it happen. And it generally never makes me happier. I'm always more depressed when I'm alone.
Day after day.
But when I was a kid, I was actually really afraid that Jesus would appear to me in a dream, or not in a dream, in my bedroom. And he'd say, "My son, I have a mission for you." Or he'd say, "My son, the Bible is real." And I'd be like, sitting there, and I'd wonder if what I was seeing was real, A. And B, if it was real, would anyone ever believe me? And that frightened me.
"The fear of strawberries." Well, I don't want that.
It's really frustrating. It's so hard because I spent the vast majority of my childhood trying to be someone else, being whoever I needed to be whenever the situation called for it, and through that I got actually really good at lying, which scared my mother to no end because I could just lie and not have it weigh on my conscience one bit. I'm pretty sure at one point she thought I was a sociopath.
Dolphins are kind of freaky. And so are birds.
I'm afraid of Nazis.
Having a child who is handicapped, whether mentally or physically, and not knowing how to take care of them. Like, I'm not afraid, if I have it, I'm obviously going to figure it out, but I'm petrified of being a bad father.
The creatures following me.
And of tornadoes.
I was terrified of tornadoes too.
From 2 traumatic childhood
Oh,
experiences.
see, mine was just from Twister.
I also have a lot of dreams about tornadoes, but they're not scary. Well, they are, but I like them.
Because my sister told me that tornadoes sound like trains. And because we were right in those blue and white condos right by Meridian. And the train was right there all the time. And it was still when it was blowing its horn in the town. Every time there was a train, I had to wake up and make sure it wasn't a tornado.
And then I have dreams that bugs are everywhere and they get in my mouth and they get stuck in my teeth and I want to vomit. It's pretty awful.
Being alone, I'm afraid of winding up alone, I'm afraid of doing something to someone to alienate them so that I will be.
Actually, I'm also pretty afraid of centipedes. I'm okay with almost every other kind of bug, but those things are just, they skitter around, and they can bite you, and some are poisonous, and you could die. That's pretty awful, I think. Everything else that's like frightening or could hurt you, at least in my opinion, I could see coming. But a centipede, just like, shh. Fucking bites you and you're finished.
Getting shot in the head. Nuclear apocalypse.
I can feel it getting closer, closer, closer to me.
Anybody here afraid of ghosts?
If you think about it in a circle, the beginning, the center of the circle being emotionless, and then as you move out to, and you get more extreme emotions, like you can get contented, and then, happy, and then ecstatic and elated, and so on. That's kind of like a linear progression one way. Then you go another way in the circle, and you have frustrated, annoyed, angry, furious, etc., and, melancholic, sad, etc., miserable, whatever the emotion is. I don't tend to feel in the, like happy, sad, mad. It's always elated, miserable, furious.
Oddly enough, I'm also really afraid of ghosts. Even though I don't think they're real. Every time I see a scary movie, if there's ghosts, I can't sleep that night.
I'm a very, very rational person. But I can't even tell the stories. I get seriously worked up if I even think about it.
And so when I get furious, I'm afraid of myself, because I have actually accidentally almost killed my brother when we were kids.
A lot of these memories are even oppressed, and it sounds ridiculous coming from me, but I wouldn't even mention it, and I don't often, if I didn't think it were true.
Yeah, like it was really bad. I had to go like anger management sessions and stuff like that, because like I would berserk. It was really, really bad. And now, I mean, I don't really do that anymore, but I still get mad, and like I still like I'll throw my phone or something across the room, or I'll like hit a pillow or something. I mean, I have more constructive ways of dealing with it now.
Your entire family dying.
I always feel like I'm looking over my shoulder, waiting for it to swoop in and grab me by the throat.
Death. I'm afraid of dying.
I don't fear death. I fear dead things a little bit.
I prefer to not know I was gonna die, but to be really, really old and just die in my sleep, as to like something that I knew was gonna happen. That scares me more. Like if I got cancer and like I knew that I had like a month left or something, that would be way worse than just dying of a heart attack in your sleep, or whatever happens when you're really old and you die in your sleep. Just not knowing about it would be good. I think the fear of it happening is worse for a person than when it actually happens.
That's the scary thing about death, is that I wouldn't have time to accomplish everything. But even if I accomplished everything, I'd still find something that I wished I'd accomplished. Insatiable, I suppose. But even just the idea of death itself scares me. What's coming after that? Is it really nothing? That's what I'd like to believe, but I could be wrong. There could be something after it. What is it? It's unknown. That's the scariest part about it.
See, my biggest fear with death is I'm starting to be pretty sure that there's nothing after death. There's no heaven, there's no hell. Your subconscious doesn't live on in any form. That's kind of what I'm starting to believe. And like, to me, like, the world is in my head. Like, I don't think the world is in my head, but like the whole world as I know it is how I perceive it, and it's in my, like, the world that I know is only the world that I've experienced, and when I'm dead, there's just gonna be nothing. I don't think the world isn't gonna go. I don't think the world is gonna end, but for me, the world is gonna end. There won't be anything. I won't know how people in my friends or family are doing. I won't know anything that happens after I die. I'm gonna be dead, and there's gonna be nothing, and the world's just gonna stop.
I have to strive so that harder so that I don't fail, so that I don't get rejected, so that
I don't want it to happen. Doesn't mean I'm afraid of it happening. Like, I'm not gonna sit around and worry, what if my whole family dies? No.
The idea that even if you accomplish something or brush against greatness, and a part of you lives on, your legacy for a time or forever or whatever you want to say it, that you will have no idea that it's happening because you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's scary. Part of me almost wishes I'm wrong, and that there is some sort of an afterlife where I can, like, I don't know, see what's going on after I die.
I want to
see
know.
what happens after, what happens to the world after I die. Not in the sense that I'll have a huge effect. My death will have a huge effect, but what's the rest of the story that there is to be told after death occurs? And that's scary to think that I won't have that I only get 90 or 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those 90 or 100 years, I'll only remember the last 20 before it really clearly, if that, and that at some point it'll just end, and that'll be that.
I think the most scary thing is ignorance. Willful ignorance.
Only me and the creature are left. Only the two of us are left alive.
Yeah, I mean, sure, someone could have nukes, and if those get off, yeah, that's awful, and then, then yes, I would be definitely terrified. But the fact that the potential to have that doesn't scare me, in my opinion, shouldn't scare anyone. Because then you're afraid of what ifs. And that's a terrible way to live your life.
There are things in the world that freak me out and really depress me and scare me, but like lately I've had a pretty self-defeatist mind frame about them, and that there's nothing I can do, so I just try not to think about it. It's just really bad, I know, but there are certain things that I feel like there's nothing I could do, so I just...
Well, I'd rather do something than sit on my ass and be terrified for the rest of my life.
It's just fun. Anyway,
It's true.
let's say, if it's gonna be nuclear war, or famine, or drought, or anything. You can't be afraid of it, you're just gonna have to fucking accept it. There's nothing you can do. You can try and do the best you can.
Perhaps an oversimplification, but I think that you have two choices, really. You can huddle in a ball and pretend it's not there, or you can accept that it's there. Doesn't mean you have to accept and be happy. It doesn't mean you have to accept and be sad or angry or whatever. But you either live in the world or you don't. And to me, there's always a bit of hope in the acceptance part, because you don't know what's going to happen. If you huddle into a ball in the corner and remain ignorant, you're giving up hope. You're accepting that you believe there's nothing to be done, and that you would rather live in your own mind and make up and imagine a better world for yourself. I prefer the idea that educate myself, try to be knowledgeable, try to understand things, the entirety of being, in a sense. And that gives me hope that perhaps things could get better, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't, and they kind of vacillate between the two. So I think there's hope in one and there isn't in the other, and I would choose hope over the other for certain. So.
And then I wake up, and it's gone.